Welcome back to MTDCNC, my friends. I'm with my buddy Oliver today, and I love success stories, don't you? Absolutely. We are at Azure MicroDynamics here in Southern California, and as you can see, there are so many Citizen machines behind me right now. And if I'm going to be exact, 24 with number 25 on the way, and we're talking about in a 20-year span. That's how you know they're working and the relationships are good. But let's get into some of the details of how they're working, because rigidity is important when we're talking about medical devices. And there are some machines here with good rigidity, but also how important is it to take multiple machine operations and put it into one? Those are the two things we're going to discuss today with Oliver. So Oliver, let's start with rigidity and which machines have given you the rigidity and the successes that have come from it.
So just recently in the last couple of years, we looked at the L32 platform over here behind us. We do a lot of orthopedic screws, and some of our customers were switching to some pretty rough material. We were having challenges cutting those, so we went to thread whirling. It helped, but with some of those materials, we were still having issues. We got our first L32, and all those issues kind of went away. Our tool life went up, the parts were just coming out perfect, we weren't having dimensional issues. And then we got two more of them within the span of 3 years. So it's just been a great platform for us.
Yeah, you mentioned, some of the aspects that come along with rigidity. The audience sometimes knows, but I like to reiterate when possible. Rigidity adds, faster cycle times because we're pushing it harder. It's those better finishes. It's the longer tool life, as you mentioned. All inclusive, more rigidity is going to be better in the harder materials. But let's talk real quickly, and I didn't mention it at the beginning, the precision of these machines, because the world you work in, you have to be so precise, don't you?
Absolutely, and that was another thing. So we bought those machines for screws first, but we started moving some parts off other platforms onto these machines that had some as tight as 3/10 total tolerance. And where we were getting a lower yield on other machines, all of a sudden the yield went up, and again, tool life, everything, just parts got easier to run once we moved to that platform.
So let's move over to the B-axis that you've implemented in more recent years and the importance of adding multiple operations into one setup versus having to move it from machine to machine to machine.
Yeah, so absolutely. The Swiss platform is great because we have, the front spindle, the back spindle, and some of the machines have 12, 13 axes already. But adding the B-axis has kind of changed the game with all the newer parts that are, beautifully surfaced and look great. The marketing teams have a lot of say in the design, so we need to find a way to do it. And before, where we'd machine blanks on the Swiss, put them over to a milling machine, a 5-axis milling machine, there's always those opportunities for error to creep in and multiply on top of itself. So by putting it in one setup, getting it programmed and getting complete parts off the machine just helped us, again, reduce scrap, keep the machines running, run them deeper into the night. And that opened us to new projects that before we had those machines, we weren't bidding. And all of a sudden we see we have the capabilities and the work kind of follows the capabilities of the machines.
Well, with that being said, as a general rule across the country, numbers that I've heard about are about 40% less overall runtime when you can take multiple operations and add it into one machine, which is what they've done here at Azure here in Southern California, working with Citizen. Now, we're talking about relationships, we're talking about training, we're talking about success, all the things I love to talk about, but now we get to talk about rigidity and precision and multiple applications in one as well. Oliver, thank you so much for sharing this story. I hope these guys have learned as much as I have today from you, and I appreciate you sharing your time with us.
Absolutely, thanks for coming to the shop.